might pay to take another crack at those diamonds along about now.
Hey, Ted, you mean you got some kind of a lead on them?
No, I'm afraid. He is the only one who knows what he did with those diamonds.
Oh, hold everything, Ted. I'm on my way down to see you.
CBS Radio brings you Bob Bailey in the exciting adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Eastern Liability and Trust Company, New York City office. Following is an account of expenses incurred during my investigation of the man who waits matter. Sure, I and I alone could take the credit for Rocky Harrison's trip to Sing Sing over 7 years ago. But the fact I'd been able to recover the Olney diamonds really stuck in my craw. So what if I was still fairly new in the business at the time? There was no excuse. Okay, then. Expense account item 1, $3.95, a taxi to the station, then train fare to New York. I walked over from Grand Central to Ted Bessam's office at 500 Fifth Avenue.
You know, I thought I mentioned a Rocky Harrison would bring you here.
All right, so what if there was a little risk involved? Here was my chance to make up for having done only half a job some 7 years ago. Also, I figured I knew enough about Rocky to be well prepared for almost anything he might try. The main thing was to find out what he'd done with the Olney diamonds, and of course get my hands on them. Expense account item 2, $1.70 for a cab to Whiskey Soda's address. It was the kind of place I'm sure the City Planning Commission will be glad to tear down. The word manager was scrawled across the door in the hallway marked with the number 1. And as for the manager...
Yeah, what do you want? My rooms are all filled up. Well, now, what's a gent like you doing around here?
I'm looking for a man named Soder.
Huh? That whiskey-smelling old... You'll find him down the hall in number... Say, he's getting real popular today.
What do you mean by that?
You're the second gent's been here to see him.
Oh? Who was the first?
Well, I didn't get a good look at him, but I heard him go on back towards
What's your Soder's room? What's the number?
Number 7 down the hall.
Okay, thanks.
Didn't see the man leave, though. Maybe still in there with... Now, who left that window open there at the end of the hall?
All right, number 7.
Maybe I better close it.
Hey, you sure that Soder didn't leave?
Sure, I'm sure.
Well, then come on, let me have your key. Come on.
The key to his room. Now, just a minute.
Okay, don't bother.
Well, just a minute, you. Who do you think you are, busting down this button? Oh.